We want to get into entertainment and media, and we have seen quite a number of influencers, especially on social media. They've been promoting brands out there, all right, and companies and brand propositions. And first of all, the question that you want to ask yourself is, who is the preferred media influencer for my particular organization? Who would be preferred to be able to position our product into the market? And how do we come up and get a strategy, a marketing strategy for the right influencer to place in this particular industry? So this is an interesting conversation that we want to engage in. And to take us through this session, he is the CEO and co-founder of Wowzi. This is none other than Brian Mogeni. Over to you, Brian, as you guide us on the best marketing strategy and approach that we can be able to imply so that now we can be able to proceed from there. Thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you, Ian, for the introduction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian Mogeni, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Wowzi. We're a technology company focused on creating jobs, specifically gig work along influencer marketing. And basically, our platform enables businesses to leverage unique communities, both offline and online, to carry out targeted influencer campaigns. So think about, from just the celebrity being an influencer to, moms, to professionals, to experts, to creators, and how can businesses easily leverage them by accessing them on one platform. And on the flip side, individuals can receive these jobs on their mobile app and also earn a living. So over the last year and a half, we've run over 15,000 campaigns across 7 different countries: Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Nigeria, Ghana, and also Mozambique, as well as South Africa, for different brands from different sectors, from banking, from FMCG, from SMEs across the board. But that's a little bit about Wowzi. I'll get to talk a bit about that later and how you can leverage the platform. But more importantly, today, I'm here to discuss the state of influencer marketing. And this is a term that has been picking up pace over the last, years, couple of decades, more and more. But if you really think about it, influencer marketing is something that's existed for centuries, from the days of Napoleon, where he would want to influence, he would use the playwrights. From the 70s, when VW would launch the Scooby-Doo van, as some may know, they would use Muhammad Ali. To today, in the age of social media and digital channels, where influencer marketing has been significantly amplified over the last 5 or so years, and pretty much anybody today can be an influencer. So as I begin my presentation today, Africa in itself, when we look at influencer marketing, there's one end where businesses can leverage this particular channel to reach their customer and convert and sell products. At the same time, development agencies can use this channel to educate. But beyond this, on the flip side, it's a massive opportunity to create jobs. So if you look at Africa, with a median age of 20 years old, with very, very increasing number of individuals owning smartphones. And this is pretty much the place to meet your customer is becoming more and more digital as we move. And if we look at influencer marketing in terms of the spend over the last 5 years, it's grown over 500% from 2017, from a market cap of about $3 billion to 2021, where it ended just a little bit below $14 billion. And we see this trend continuing. This particular year is particularly projected to reach over $20 billion. And the question one asks is, who is spending all of this money? It's businesses, it's small businesses, it's B2C businesses, and more as of late, B2B business as well. It's a massive trend. A lot of the problems around carrying out influencer marketing have existed due to the pain points of finding one, who is the right influencer, how will I measure, how will I carry out these campaigns. And some of these questions are what platforms such as Wowzi are answering through technology. How, with Wowzi, we are pretty much organizing very unique communities. So it's not just your favorite celebrity who's an influencer. I actually believe all of us today, in the audience today, are influencers in our own right. We do have people who believe in us. So the question begs is, how can B2B business leverage influencer marketing? We've seen this in the market with a lot of B2C consumer goods, where you have celebrities creating content, from Coca-Cola to restaurants. But in the same, how can a B2B business leverage this? It's a great channel to meet your customers. And this is something that I would love to talk a little bit more about today. But before I move forward, I would just like to make a point that we are all influencers, and how can businesses leverage these very unique communities is something that I want to talk a bit more about. So the answer to that is yes. B2B businesses can definitely leverage influencer marketing. If you look at the Edelman's Trust Barometer for the last couple of years, you will notice that the first point, or the highest trust, comes from people like I. So this is your fellow colleagues, your family, your neighbors, your close acquaintances, people within your industry. If you think about it, you're much more inclined to do something or act on something when it comes from someone who's very close to you, when it comes from a family member, when it comes from your colleague, more so as opposed to a celebrity who's reaching millions of people. But if it's one of your best friends, one of your industry acquaintances talking about something, the driving factor behind that is much more effective. And I go back to, the whole concept of influencer marketing is nothing new. It's just that technology is enabling us to leverage this channel. And influencer marketing in its own right is built around people. This is a channel to reach your customer through people. And people are your best sellers. This is a channel that you can actually reach people through your customers. So with what we've done with Wowzi over the last year, we've onboarded over 70,000 influencers across the 7 markets that we're active. And we've learned a lot of new things as well. And if you think about it, on the platform, we have just a little bit under 5,000 celebrities across these 7 markets. But at the same time, we have over 65,000 what you call nano influencers. These are people with less than 1,000 followers. Probably 99% of us today would have less than 1,000 followers on our social media. And this is really where influence happens. Influence does not primarily happen online. It also happens offline. So think of the chef, think of the banker, think of the insurance specialist, think of doctors, think of people in development sector, people in public sector. We're all influencers in our own right. And what we've done as Wowzi is onboard individuals, groom them, and that enables a business, just like any business that all of us run, and to quickly log in, create a campaign, find a community that resonates with your business, and set up a campaign in a few minutes. The influencer would receive the brief fully on their mobile app. They would complete the job. You would get to track this on your dashboard, and also payment for the influencer is solved. So a lot of these tedious pain points is what our technology is solving. And beyond that, it's now enabling everybody to be an influencer. And we've seen businesses from running campaigns and struggling to run a campaign with 10 people because it's very manual to pick up the phone, follow up. The reporting is in 10 different formats. The influencer does not get paid on time. A lot of these pain points are what we've streamlined and standardized through the Wowzi platform. And as we move on, I would like now to really focus on the concept of how a B2B business specifically can leverage influencer marketing. So some of these points that I would like to really talk about today on this particular point. Every single business exists, to serve its customers. And one of the first ways before serving your customers, you actually have to reach your customers. You have to intercept them at a point where they can actually get to understand the offering that you have, and then you can educate them. And with B2B businesses, where a lot of deals are closed in boardrooms, you find your target audience is not as large. It's not in the millions. It's not in the millions like an FMCG would. How do you go about carrying out influencer marketing? Does it make sense to you? So some of these questions are some things that I would like to address today. In terms of the whole concept of for example, you could be a business that's in the insurance sector. Or for instance, you could be providing human resource consultancy services. How do you leverage influencer marketing? So with what we've seen over the last year, and the trend that what we see continuing, is B2B businesses leveraging very unique communities. If you find that your business has a very niche target audience, the best people to reach that target audience are people within that target audience. If you think about it, I believe most of us today would agree that our customer has always been our best seller. Your customer is actually one of the core influencers that you can leverage on Wowzi. So we've built tools where, as you create an account on Wowzi, you can pretty much invite your customers and engage them on a campaign. And some of the benefits for this is you get to work with people who, one, understand your product, with two, people who actually have specialist knowledge if you're in an expert field, and three, without having to do and find and educate these people, you're actually saving yourself time. Some of the advice we'd give to B2B businesses is to focus on matching their target audience with the target audience of the influence. So if you're selling HR practitioner services, or for instance, you're selling medical insurance to companies, some of the best people to actually work with on these campaigns would be, the heads of HR of different companies you've already sold to. Once they're happy, they're the ones who actually go and tell their fellow industry colleagues, and that's how you can actually start getting referral. And that's where the real concept of influencer marketing stems from. It actually stems from organizing word of mouth. And today we can actually do that by organizing communities and running campaigns through these very unique communities. So imagine if you're selling insurance, medical insurance to companies, imagine running a campaign through 100 HR practitioners. These are people who are in the same association, they engage off work, not just online, and them talking about it, for instance, on LinkedIn at 100x, you will actually deliver, and these are people who can actually talk about the service, you'll actually get a lot of leads. So these are some of the ways that we'd advise companies to specifically leverage on their customers, specifically leverage on experts. For example, we have certain campaigns that we're doing in the healthcare space where we actually have licensed professions or professionals, such as pharmacists, such as pediatricians, and B2B businesses such as your Novartis, and a lot of us, I think, have known a lot of the pharma companies. They can actually leverage these very unique, because they primarily would like to talk to pediatricians. So the best way to do that is use pediatricians at scale in an organized fashion that is easy and measurable and controlled through the platform, to run campaigns that would be relating to the business that Novartis is pushing. And you can see this from another piece that businesses can leverage is thought leaders. So I think on LinkedIn, we all probably follow one or two different types of individuals for specific expert knowledge on that particular space. Most of the CIO leaders, you'll find themselves are LinkedIn thought leaders. How do you find a thought leader who's specifically in your space? For example, Mogeni here, the likes of Mogeni here, who's an expert in technology over the last couple of decades, is very fitting, for example, for Microsoft, who will probably be pushing a B2B product that's targeted towards companies. He's someone who can easily understand it, who can just break down that information and share it to people who actually are within that target audience of Microsoft. Then lastly, once you've matched your target audience with your the target audience of your influencer and your target audience as a business. In today's age, you don't have to actually do the manual work of making phone calls, having boardrooms. As professionals, you want to focus on the strategy. You want to focus on the analytics and tracking stuff. So the tedious work can actually be sorted out by leveraging on very unique platforms. And as we go, the last thing I would like to leave us with is that everybody is an influencer. Your customer is probably your best influencer. How can you organize them, invite them, and create a very unique group on your platform and run campaigns through them? And lastly, working through experts. So the piece I'd like to leave us is not to see influencers just as the celebrity who is looking very flashy on social media, but also think about the real word of mouth that happens both online and offline. And that's where real influence happens. And that's exactly what our platform is enabling businesses to do. So yeah, generally as a B2B business, primarily focus on the niche communities that really, really matter to your business and run campaigns through them. We trust people like and that's where we've seen the highest conversions. Thank you very much. Happy to chat and engage with everybody, and we wish us a winning 2022, what's left of it. Cheers.